right, quick review while I got this one on my mind. I just did a reread of this book, Naked, David Sedaris. Writers, I read your stuff online. You're not this good. Nobody writes an opening line like this guy. I got to give you some examples. I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite from this book. They're so friggin' good. It was, for many years, my family's habit to drive from North Carolina to Western New York State to visit the relatives we had left behind. The relatives we had left behind. Really? Do you want to know more about that? I want to know more about that. Another one, number 2. My mother had a thing for detectives. Be they old, blind, or paralyzed from the waist down, she just couldn't get enough. My older sister shared her interest. Detective worship became something they practiced together, swapping plot lines the way other mothers and daughters exchanged recipes or grooming tips. Do you want to know more about where that story goes? Of course you do, because mothers and daughters swapping detective obsessions. I mean, come on, you're curious. Number 3. It started following an all-day Planet of the Apes marathon held at a budget theater a mile or so from my parents' house. What story starts after watching Planet of the Apes at a budget theater a mile or so from home? Notice it's the nuance. It started following this event. He's giving you all this preamble just to suck you into the reality of this experience. All right, what are we on? Number 4. The day after graduating from college, oh, I love this one. The day after graduating from college, I found $50 in the foyer of my Chicago apartment building. The single bill had been folded into eighths and was packed with cocaine. It occurred to me then that if I played my cards right, I might never have to find a job. People lost things all the time. The naivete of this concept of people lose things all the time. Why should I have a job? Why should I have to work if the reality is people are just leaving stuff on the sidewalk? I shouldn't have to do anything. And then it's cocaine. I mean, again, sucks you straight into the story. Last one, number 5. The moment I realized I would be a homosexual for the rest of my life, I forced my brother and sister to sign a contract swearing they'd never get married. There was a clause allowing them to live with anyone of their choice, just so long as they never made it official. Another case here. You have a life-changing situation. You have the realization about yourself. You want to force the other people you care about most in your group that they're not going to move away from you. You're not going to be the family that gets left behind because that's in your understanding. I mean, that's towards the end of the book where he gets to this one. He's dropping that on you in layers and grappling. I'm going to spare you anymore. Those are my favorite 5, but I got to do this for you. Read Naked, the story at the end. That's a brilliant study of the human condition, but this is the best passage. It's not a beginning passage. It's not even an end passage. I could do a whole post just on those. This is a middle section. Probably my favorite thing in the book. This is the one that'll get me coming back over and over again. It's about David, and he's talking to his mother's character. It's about when his mother gets sick. I'd always been afraid of sick people, and so had my mother. It wasn't that we feared catching their brain aneurysm or accidentally ripping out their IV. I think it was their fortitude that frightened us. Sick people reminded us not of what we had, but of what we lacked. Everything we said sounded petty and insignificant. Our complaints paled in the face of theirs, and without our complaints, there was nothing to say. My mother and I had been fine over the telephone, but now, face to face, the rules had changed. If she were to complain, she risked being seen as a sick complainer, the worst kind of all. If I were to do it, I might come off sounding even more selfish than I actually was. This sudden turn of events had robbed us of our common language, leaving us to exchange the same innocuous pleasantries we'd always made fun of. I wanted to stop it, and so, I think, did she, but neither of us knew how. This is Sedaris at his best. It's mid-story. It's leaving this heartbreaking piece of humanity that you could smile over, you could cry over, all at the same time. It's all language. It's all story. If you remove the personal from it, you're going to be left with innocuous pleasantries. I'm sorry. That's how most people do their online writing. If you know, you know. But if you're David Sedaris, you know it doesn't matter how you open or close or fill the middle with, so long as it's not with innocuous pleasantries. Do it on purpose. Be naked. It's fine. It's public. It's great. One of my favorite books ever. Will warrant the reread time and time again. Thanks, David Sedaris.